Welcome back to Marvelous Videos. I'm Rylan. The Mortal Kombat fighting game series is filled with memorable characters and intriguing chronicles. One such character is Fujin, the God of Wind. Fujin originally appeared chronologically in Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero. Although he was not a playable fighter until the release of Mortal Kombat 4, he is one of Earthrealm's protectors and the youngest sibling of the Thunder God Raiden. He is also one of the series' few playable gods. Throughout the whole series, he has remained a supporting character. He is one of the first gods that the older Sub-Zero defeated in order to obtain Shinnok's amulet. He made an appearance here as one of the 4 guardians that Raiden appointed to guard it. He is observed being ripped apart by his own whirlwind, however, surviving the ordeal. Raiden and Fujin triumph and manage to drive Shinnok all of the way into the Netherrealm. After Raiden becomes an Elder God and becomes a defender of the Earthrealm, Fujin steps into his brother's shoes. Now, without any further ado, let us dive right into exploring the origins of Fujin in today's episode of Marvelous Videos. Actually, before we get into our explanation, we have just a very small request. If you like our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is just a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thanks! Now, history of Fujin. In Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero, Fujin, the Wind God, first appears as a nameless boss. In Mortal Kombat 4, Fujin makes his first appearance as a playable character. Fujin, who is inspired by the Shinto god of the wind of the same name, is another figure in the series that has its roots in Japanese religion, along with Raiden. He takes the form of a tall, strong person who is ageless, with lengthy white hair pulled back into a ponytail and brilliant white eyes. His Mortal Kombat 4 outfit has the Chinese character on his back, which most accurately translates to air or sky in English. He can use a wide range of wind-focused strikes, as might be anticipated. Fujin is shown to be the younger brother of Raiden in Mortal Kombat 11. Fujin eventually left the Sky Temple to live amongst people, much to Raiden's displeasure. The Thunder God was worried that if Fujin became too involved with people, then his tasks might be hampered by feeling. The two gods fought as a result of this. According to Fujin, this was the only time that they ever fought. This interaction between humans altered Fujin's perspective. In contrast to Raiden's worry that it would weaken him, he came to see that it really empowered him. He now fights to defend the people he loves most, rather than to eliminate the enemy, which is why he can relate to Jax's suffering due to his failures, and see how easily such wounds may be exploited. He therefore has a higher level of human brutality than Raiden. He acts as a symbol of hope for the inhabitants of Earthrealm, encouraging and boosting their morale with his largely positive outlook on life. Fujin transforms into a mortal man with a light complexion, white hair pulled back into a ponytail, and eyes that resemble Raiden. He donned green boots, green slacks, and a black waistcoat. Fujin initially had a crimson cloak, but it was removed afterward. It's interesting to notice that in mythologies, his in-game sprite shows him wearing a black headband and blue slacks, both of which are not seen in subsequent 3D versions. When he appears in Armageddon, he dons a more elaborate version of his previous attire, including shoulder guards. His hair is longer, expanded into a lengthy braid with 3 hair pieces, and it's no longer brushed back with fringes framing his face. In Mortal Kombat X's storyline, Fujin makes his reappearance. His belt and vest are now of crafted black leather, trimmed in crimson, and embellished with metallic rings, as well as paired with the complementing armlets. He still wears shoulder guards and is capeless. A thin leather headband that is strung around rings is used to hold back his braid. With additions from his Armageddon design, Fujin's default suit in Mortal Kombat 11 is a significantly improved variant from his MK4 outfit. On his shoulder, he has a shimmering tattoo of his namesake. He can also appear in one of his other clothes, which includes the loose white robes with more elaborate luminous insignia on his arms. His third attire is modeled somewhat on his portrayal in mythologies, but with a shorter, ragged cloak and short pulled-back hair. In Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero, Fujin was the very first of the gods that Bi-Han, as the Elder Sub-Zero, defeated in order to get the Amulet of Shinnok. He was one of Raiden's 4 guardians to watch and defend it. Prior to Shinnok, a fallen Elder God escaped from the Netherrealm, and deciding to destroy the eternal peace of the Elder Gods in Mortal Kombat 4, he remained dormant. Fujin fought to protect the palace, but lost the battle and plummeted from the heavens. Before the henchman could kill him, Kei, Liu Kang, and Raiden intervened to save him from Shinnok's army of darkness. Fujin engaged Raiden in his conflict with his old foe, aiding the Earthrealm armies as one of the handful of gods of the Earthrealm. Shinnok was yet again imprisoned in the Earthrealm as a result of this victory of the Earthrealm troops. After consulting with the Elder Gods, Fujin learned that he was assigned a new mission to do. As he would be joining the triad of Elder Gods, Raiden appointed Fujin as the new guardian of Earthrealm. Fujin agreed to the job and assured Raiden that he wouldn't let him down. Fujin noticed that Raiden's demeanor had changed in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. He observed that the Thunder God had become brutal while still trying to defend Earthrealm. Liu Kang's reanimated body was now under Raiden's command, killing several innocent people for no apparent cause. Fujin later joined forces alongside Kung Lao in the hopes that together they would be able to discover a method to save Liu Kang and Raiden. Kung Lao revealed to him that Johnny Cage had been assembling the Forces of Light. Fujin attempted the meeting that Cage organized and learned about Johnny Cage's experiences with Shinnok there. Although he did not think that Johnny had psychic abilities, something said at the meeting drew his interest. Kenshi, a blind fighter, referenced the brothers Dagon and Taven. When the two vanished, Fujin, who had known their family for many years, questioned their father, Argus. He understood that Argus had sent them on a mission, but that the quest had since been tainted by evil. The god of wind looked for both of the brothers in an effort to halt their progress and discover the real reason behind their search. Taven refused to listen to him when he encountered him in a thicket near the headquarters of the Red Dragon clan and warned him against going inside. Fujin and Taven engaged in combat, but Taven ultimately prevailed and moved away, emphasizing that he had to engage in combat with an old friend. In the conquest, Fujin isn't seen once more. He would subsequently join the Forces of Light in the decisive conflict with the Forces of Darkness, where it's assumed that he would pass away with the other combatants. The Wind God in Mortal Kombat X, the comic series, displays his reluctance and uneasiness about Raiden, utilizing one of the Kamidogu daggers to conjure blood magic in order to acquire visions necessary to discover the monster lost in Earthrealm's Sky Temple. Fujin is battered by the blood magic that is produced when the dagger's power subdues Raiden. It is revealed that the blood magic hurt Fujin, and Raiden heals her. The Wind God remarks that Raiden's severed arm is not yet fully healed, and wonders if the cost was worth the expense of their wounds. Before telling Fujin about his visions, Raiden brushes off the wound and assists him in standing. Raiden discloses that Fujin is looking into Quan Chi's potential participation in the maleficence of the Kamidogu around the boundaries of the Netherrealm. Fujin comes from the Netherrealm to the Earthrealm, as well as the Sky Temple after a protracted absence, soaring into the shrine on wind currents. When the Thunder God questions what news he has, Fujin tells Raiden that the locks are intact, and that Quan Chi, as well as his revenants, have not been seen. He discovers Raiden in the Jinsei chamber. Fujin alerts Raiden to a fresh reason for concern, and explains that while mending and fortifying the walls about Earthrealm, they neglected to secure Shang Tsung's island, a crucial strategic weak spot. When Raiden advises they go, Fujin informs him that he had previously tried, but was stopped by a strong barrier spell, much like Raiden's own holding seals. Fujin wonders whether this could be the location of the demon's entry point into Earthrealm. Fujin asks Raiden whether there is anything that he has to tell him while leaving the connotation in the air. To Fujin's horror, a terrified Raiden tries to join the Jinsei and yet is turned away. Fujin recognizes that the Jinsei can detect the corruption of the Kamidogu inside him, and Raiden is reminded that it has been refusing him since morning. Raiden also admits that he's been doing so since the morning. When the Wind God asks Raiden how many he only has 3. Raiden then tells Fujin that because Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade are still in Outworld, they must ascertain whether Kotal Khan still remains their buddy. The Wind God strikes the Thunder God, repeatedly stabbing him on a partition with a Naginta before he exits the Sky Temple with the Kamidogu, before Fujin can assist Raiden. When Takeda returns, Fujin is barely awake. He informs the kid about Raiden's captivity before promising him that now the Jinsei would heal him. Takeda is then told they should stop Raiden, since he is not acting under his own control. Fujin is brought to the Jinsei chamber, where the Earthrealm's life force cures all of his wounds and replenishes his health. When Takeda inquires as to whether he is feeling much better, Fujin recalls to the youngster that he has felt the effects of the Jinsei and claims that after experiencing their energizing influence, he would tear down a mountain. Takeda mentions traveling with Raiden all the way to Shang Tsung's island, but Fujin swiftly cuts him off, thanking him for helping him, but making it obvious that he's not going there. Fujin informs Takeda that he is now in charge of guarding the Jinsei in Raiden's absence. Takeda attempts to remind Fujin of the missing Kamidogu, but Fujin dismisses the idea, assuming the daggers are in enemy hands. Although Fujin acknowledges that there would be casualties, he reminds Takeda that to give up on the Jinsei is to give up on all of life itself on Earth. After telling Takeda how a good job must contribute towards the greater good, Fujin explains to Takeda that he wouldn't accompany him, and that he wouldn't be saving the youngster. Takeda is furious at Fujin for allowing people to die. Fujin then presents Takeda with a classic Shirai Ryu mask and a pair of powerful jagged whips, informing Takeda of the importance of hitting from a range, as Hanzo had taught him. Fujin commands Takeda to engage in combat, as he believes that Hanzo trained him to battle for justice.
Raiden, we must refortify the portal's defenses below.
No, Fujin. It is too late.
In Mortal Kombat X, Fujin battles alongside Raiden at the Sky Temple to protect the Jinsei, the life force of the Earthrealm, from Shinnok and his henchmen 25 years before the major events of the narrative. Fujin uses his mastery of the wind as well as his glaive in concert to defeat the Oni of the Brotherhood of Shadow right outside the Sky Temple, killing a number of them. Raiden and Fujin were driven back to the intramural sanctum of the Jinsei when Quan Chi came with the 3 awakened revenants. Fujin used his wind skills in concert with Raiden's thunder to hold the Visages back. After Shinnok's presence strengthened the revenants, the two gods staged their final stand. Fujin defeated Stryker and shielded Raiden from Quan Chi, but Sindel assaulted her and tried to murder him before Raiden knocked her out. Only the entrance of Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage, and Kenshi prevented Earthrealm gods from being trapped in Shinnok's amulet and confined inside the Jinsei chamber. Shinnok's black power unleashed a blast that rendered Fujin unconscious. After Shinnok is imprisoned in his amulet, with the help of Raiden, Fujin is restored, and the God of Wind goes with Raiden to deliver the amulet right back to the Elder Gods. Shang Tsung, Fujin, and Nightwolf all made their way back from the Void in Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath. After Kronika was murdered by the Fire God Liu Kang, they were finally able to free. Fire God Liu Kang summoned Fujin to have his own private conversation before joining forces with Nightwolf and Shang Tsung to rescue Kronika's crown from a previous period of time prior to Cetrion stealing it. Unfortunately, Shang Tsung, Fujin, and Nightwolf arrived at the same time as Kitana ascends into a con, and Collector notices their presence, alerting Kronika of their existence. Following Nightwolf's triumph over Collector, the two animals that Collector had freed were killed by Shang Tsung and Fujin, and the 3 warriors were able to escape the Colosseum as the spectators cheered Kitana Khan's victory. Sindel was revived from her changeling state by Shang Tsung, but Nightwolf and Fujin initially rejected the idea due to Sindel's actions during Shao Kahn's previous invasion of Earthrealm, where Sindel and Nightwolf herself were among the casualties. This was done in order to develop a strategy to conquer Cetrion before obtaining Kronika's crown. He and Nightwolf, however, are compelled to carry out the sorcerer's strategy, which begins with obtaining sufficient Jinsei waters from a freshly infiltrated Sky Temple before capturing Revenant Sindel in Netherrealm. Frost's new Cyber Lin Kuei is destroyed by Fujin and his friends, who also sent Geras all the way to the Chaos Realm. They are apprehended while attempting to enter the Netherrealm by the Revenants Kitana, Liu Kang, and Nightwolf, when the latter's younger living counterpart sends him too close. Fujin awakens Nightwolf and Shang Tsung while imprisoned at Shinnok's Bone Temple and protected by the Revenants Sindel and Nightwolf. As Nightwolf was able to free himself, he also managed to liberate Shang Tsung and Fujin, allowing them to continue their quest to capture the Revenant Sindel. Fujin did not appreciate witnessing Shang Tsung take a younger Revenant Nightwolf's soul and kill him for fatally harming the former, but he was unable to stop it, because they still needed the sorcerer to complete their mission. Fujin and his companions recruit a helper from Shiva, and Revenant Sindel is kidnapped and placed in a coffin. Fujin and his comrades need to encounter the Deadpool in order to access the Soul Chamber, according to Shiva's instructions. However, Baraka, Aaron Black, and a swarm of Tarkatan warriors are present when they come across them. showdown. They encounter a slight obstacle when Shang Tsung mistakenly tosses a tar cotton into a poisonous pool, causing a conflict between both the sides. But with the help of Shiva, they are able to secure Sindel's coffin and pass Baraka, Aaron, and Jade into the past. When they reach a soul chamber, Fujin helps Shang Tsung revive Sindel, while Shiva stops Katana Khan and a restored Kotal from interfering. Since Kronika would send Revenants, Jade, and Cabal, Bai-Han, who is merely an undead noob Cybot, and an unwilling Elder Jax to help Cetrion there, Fujin and his companions are helped by Sindel to continue their journey of Shang Tsung's abandoned island to discover the crown well before Briggs' family can. Shang Tsung and Fujin travel to Goro's former lair, where the Kronika crown is being protected by Noob Saibot, as well as an Elder Jax, while Nightwolf and Sindel remain on the ground to combat Cetrion. While ultimately winning the rematch against Noob Saibot, Fujin manages to stop Shang Tsung from murdering Elder Jax and persuade him to join their side early. Fujin and his friends utilize their combined abilities to surround and overwhelm Cetrion, the last survivor, dispatching her back to Kronika and eventually gaining the throne. While Sindel returned to Katana Khan, Elder Jax and Nightwolf left with Jackie, along with younger Jax, as well as Shang Tsung, who went straight to the Fire Garden to present Raiden with the crown. However, Sub-Zero, Raiden, and the previous Scorpion are determined to confront Shang Tsung before they think Fujin had been duped in some way. After realizing Shinnok's amulet had seized control of him, Raiden helps Shang Tsung and Fujin. Later, Kronika visits Raiden, Fujin, and Shang Tsung, but is assaulted and flees. Raiden and Fujin fight Shang Tsung upon his defection during the combat of Kronika's keep. Then, Shang Tsung takes the abilities away from Raiden and Fujin. Shang Tsung intends to rob them of their abilities permanently. It was indicated that Fire God Liu Kang assigned Fujin to make use of the Sorcerer's Victory after Shang Tsung tricked everyone, including Sindel and Shao Kahn, and then wiped away Kronika from existence, regardless of the time threat when Shang Tsung's treachery would be taking place once the crown had already been protected in his hand. In the final scene of Fire God, Liu Kang doesn't reveal Fujin's whereabouts. After Shang Tsung's conclusion, Dark Raiden and Dark Fujin stop serving as the Emperor's Sorcerer's enforcers. Interesting facts about Fujin. The history of Fujin in the official Mortal Kombat 4 strategy manuals revealed that he was indeed Raiden's brother. Strangely, none of the games made any mention of that, leading many fans to question whether or not this was truly accurate. Thankfully, the latest Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath gameplay teaser finally makes everything obvious in the initial conversation between Fujin and Shiva. Shiva clearly states that Raiden and Fujin are brothers, putting an end to this baffling bit of history. Now, speaking of bugs, Mortal Kombat's 2011 edition included a partially well-known one. It persuaded so many individuals that Fujin would be included as a DLC that the legend states it forced Ed Boon to abandon plans and reject what he would be including later. A placeholder character named DLC Base Male was found in the game's code. The announcer would pronounce Fujin's name when the fighter was chosen, despite the fact that he had no unique moves and were hardly playable at all. Although the explanation for why Fujin was given as the name is still a little strange, it was more probable that this was actually a DLC character slot test. Fujin did, however, make a cameo in the Kratos finale part of the PS3 game. The Mortal Kombat 4 arcade game's 1.0 iteration had a cute little Easter egg. Fans uncovered hack codes that may allow the personality biography screens again, even though they were all disabled by default. However, as these were probably not meant to be viewed, each biography includes strange and humorous information about each of the individuals. Because his biological page refers to him as the Wind God from the Mortal Kombat mythologies, Fujin's remarks are similarly strange. What makes Fujin so deadly? All things wind-related are entirely under the jurisdiction of Fujin. He can float and hit the adversary from a reasonable distance by controlling the wind surrounding him. Additionally, he has the ability to launch tiny tornadoes at his enemy, spinning them around many times and leaving them open to follow-up hits. He can also elevate his adversaries, knock them on the ground, and surround himself with a tornado to pull them towards him. Fujin has established himself as a fierce combatant, at par with the likes of his brother and fellow god Raiden, especially especially in light of the fact that numerous of his moves have the potential to leave the opponent vulnerable to a freeze strike. Like Raiden, Fujin is an immortal god who cannot perish, as seen in Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero, where he essentially spawned a tornado that tore apart his body, and then quickly, off-screen, reappeared, as seen in Mortal Kombat 4. He now has a Kusunagi no Tsurugi sword, which he wields in conjunction with its sheath, while employing his wind abilities to launch into the air and slice his adversaries from a distance. His plasma crossbow also reappears in Mortal Kombat 11. His use of wind has also been enhanced, allowing him to entrap opponents in vacuums, fire invisible air grenades from his fists, and even remove oxygen from an opponent's body before using it as a weapon. Additionally, he has the ability to walk on air, literally, which gives him a significant aerial edge over his rivals and solidifies his claim to be the real god of wind. Fujin would fly and use his knees and strike his opponents 3 times. He swirls like a tornado, drawing the adversary in and tossing them to the opposite side. Fujin uses a wind gust to raise and knock down his adversary. In midair, he kicks the adversary before landing. Fujin also has 2 kicks in MK4 and MKG. He launches himself right into the air to unleash a flurry of spin kicks to the opponent, with the last kick pushing them away in MK11's wind kicks move. As the opponent spins erratically and becomes open for another combination, Fujin unleashes a little tornado at them. He pulls the plasma crossbow and shoots a shot at the adversary, but it may miss his opponents who are ducking. Fujin suspends himself in the air and surrounds himself with the little funnel cloud. If the winds hit his adversary, they will suffer harm and be thrown aside. By generating a burst of wind right from his hands in front of or below himself, he is able to deflect flying missiles and strikes. He also leaps forward and cuts the adversary with his sword after parrying an assault. Identical to Kung Lao's dive kick, Fujin dashes down in a diagonal motion and kicks the adversary after parrying a strike. Fujin swiftly launches himself right into the air using the wind before starting to sprint above and over the fighting line. He and Fujin charge forward, slicing the adversary with his sword. The damage dealt by this strike is somewhat lower than that of the flying sword used after wind barrier. Fujin can float mid-air while creating a tiny tornado below him using the wind. He may use hop attacks while in the air. A wind blow from him knocks the adversary to the ground, but there is no harm from this strike. Above the fighting line, Fujin forms a pocket of air that his opponent is drawn into before being blown to the ground by wind. This assault, known as the close, far, and very far air slams, can be utilized at various stages. Fujin assumes a short posture, which causes the wind to gather around him and flow around his arms. Before exploding, he briefly launches a traveling bubble of air that crosses the fighting line. The opponent will be momentarily catapulted into the air for a toss if the blast of the ball hits them. If the opponent jumps into the enormous air pocket that Fujin produces above the fighting line, it will change the opponent's movement. Fujin utilizes the air to conjure his sword, twirl it quickly in his hand, and then strike the opponent repeatedly. In order to boost the attack's damage, Fujin performs an overhead slash before kicking the adversary away with a wind gust. In Mortal Kombat 11, Fujin creates a Raiden kite and utilizes his wind to fly it. However, on occasion, the kite would pull him around. Marvelous verdict. NetherRealm promises to offer more than simply a DLC character, with Fujin's return to the franchise as a playable figure in Aftermath. The game promotes a full plot, in which gamers will not just get to operate as Fujin once more, but also learn more about him as a person. The player may now examine how he gets along with the other series stalwarts. This marks a first for Fujin, and it also advances the series' new and fascinating timeline, which has significantly deviated from the one in which he initially assumed the role of Earthrealm's defender. Following the finish of the basic game, Aftermath will begin with Fujin as one of the captives freed following Kronika's defeat. After losing it in the time frame, they encounter the reality-bending problem of not being able to repair the chronology without Kronika's crown. Raiden and Liu Kang will send several characters into the past to recover it in order to correct the situation once and for all, and these characters include Fujin. What are your thoughts on the God of Wind? Let us know in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed our content, then please leave us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I'm Rylan. Have a good one and be safe.